Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Jenae along with Ted Rowlands. Thank you for following along with us while our focus today is in Massachusetts with the testimony in the murder retrial for Karen Reed.
The Commonwealth claims, of course, that Reed backed her SUV into John O'Keefe because she was mad when he went into the Albert home. Then she left him to die. The defense says no, there was no collision. His body was moved to the front lawn later in the early morning hours, and Lucky didn't see it. All happened after that night out drinking at the Waterfall Bar and Grill.
So let's get back into court now. We are listening to another defense witness on the stand, Karina Kolokithas, who was at the Waterfall Bar just hours before John O'Keefe was found dead.
Correct.
What did you do that day?
So that day I worked.
As a pharmacist?
Correct.
Do you recall what your hours were?
Approximately, I would say 8 to 4:30 that day.
What plans did you have after work?
So after work, my plans were to go to the Canton High basketball game to watch my daughter play.
And what plans came up for before the game that night?
So before the game, before I left work, there was a text that went around saying that some of the parents were going to meet at the Canton Junction before the game, and if anybody wanted to stop by and grab a bite to eat.
And what is the Canton Junction?
So it used to be like a little pub/restaurant in Canton.
Did you go to the Canton Junction?
So I went home first because I had a bag I had to switch out of because we have to have plastic clear bags at work. So anyway, so I went home, and then after that, I stopped at the Canton Junction.
Okay, and did you go alone or with someone?
So I went by myself.
And when you got there, did you see people that you knew?
Correct. So I walked in, and there was a bunch of parents there from the varsity teams, the varsity team. And,
excuse me, was either John O'Keefe or Karen Reed there?
They were not there.
What about Jennifer McCabe and/or Matthew McCabe, her husband?
I believe Matthew McCabe was there. I don't believe Jennifer went to the Canton Junction.
Now, how long were you at the Canton Junction for?
I would say less than an hour.
Do you recall about what time it was that you would have been leaving there?
I'm not really sure. The game started at 6:30, so before 6:30.
All right. And when you left the Canton Junction, where did you go?
I went to Canton High School to watch the game.
And in the gymnasium, with whom did you sit to watch your daughter's basketball game?
I'm not sure who I sat with, but it would have been those parents from the varsity team, whoever was there and wherever there was a spot.
Was it generally a custom that the parents of all the kids on the team would kind of congregate together in the stands?
Correct.
Do you recall what time the basketball game ended?
I believe the game ended around 8:30.
Where did you go after the basketball game?
So after the game ended, I went down and waited on the court for my daughter to come out of the locker room, greeted her, the players, and then I said to everybody, I'm going home.
Okay, and you did go home?
Correct, I went home after the game.
And having now made it home, what were your plans that night?
So my plans were to stay home. I was tired, I worked all day, watched the game. I was pretty much done with the day, so my plans were to stay home.
At some point, did those plans wind up changing?
So then I started getting text messages from my husband saying, you should come out. We're going to go to the waterfall. And I said, no, I'm not coming.
And what is the waterfall?
So that's a restaurant that has a bar, and it's on in Canton on Washington Street.
Okay, so you've given your husband the stiff arm, so to speak, right? You're
Correct.
not going.
Not going.
So what happens?
So then he keeps on texting me. He's like, I'm at the waterfall. You should really come. It's fun. There's a band. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I don't want to go. And then my kids got involved with the conversation.
And how did that affect your decision?
So they started saying to me, Mom, you never go out. You never do anything. You know, Dad's by himself. just go, keep him company while he eats. So I reluctantly went.
All right, so you were guilted into it.
Guilted 100% into it.
All right, so where did you go?
So then I went to the waterfall.
Do you recall about what time it was that you got to the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
I believe I got there approximately 9:30 or so.
And when you first arrived there, who was there, if anyone, that you recognized?
So my husband was there, and then I recognized Jennifer and Matt McCabe.
And what happened after you got there?
So after I got there, I walked in, and I said to my husband, I'm like, where is everybody from the basketball team? And he said, I don't know, they all sort of split up. He said, don't worry, just hang out here. I already ordered a sandwich, so just hang out with me while I eat, and then we'll go.
And were you introduced to anyone?
Yeah, so then Jennifer McCabe started introducing me to all her family. So I got to meet a lot of them. It was fun. It was a good time.
And do you recall specifically who you met?
So I think I believe I met. Well, she sort of just introduced me to whoever was at the table. So I'm not sure 100%, but just like the niece, her sister, her brother-in-law, like people like that.
All right. The Albert family?
Correct.
And when you're being introduced to a bunch of people at once, it can be tough to keep everybody's names straight at the time.
Right. It's kind of overwhelming. There was a lot of Jen's family.
Now, what were you drinking that night?
So that night I drank water.
And the whole time you were at the waterfall, did you drink anything else except for water?
I only drank water that night.
Now, was there a point when you were going to leave the waterfall before they closed up for the night?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. You wound up leaving at a certain time, correct?
I never left.
Well, you left because you're in court today. You're not still at the waterfall.
Okay, correct.
So what I'm trying to get at is, at some point you left the waterfall, but was there a point before that where you were planning to go?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
So my husband had eaten, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to get going. And I was about to get going, and then John and Karen walked in.
Okay. And when you say John and Karen, you're referring to?
John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
And why did that change your plans?
I was excited to see them. I liked Karen, so as soon as I saw her walk in, I was like, hey, I'm going to stay. I want to talk to her.
And what did you notice about John O'Keefe's mood when he arrived that night?
So John was very happy. His niece had just gotten into a private school called Bishop Fian, and that was like the first thing he was talking about. He was elated that she got in, and he was telling everybody about that.
And thereafter, how much interaction did you have with John and/or Karen?
Karen and I probably spent the entire night talking. Maybe give or take some time that we didn't, but the majority of the time, Karen and I were speaking together.
And if you had to estimate, how long a conversation did you have with Karen?
Maybe an hour, like 40, 50 minutes out of the hour. Like if we spent like an hour together, perhaps we spoke 50 minutes of those out of that hour.
And without telling us the content of the conversation, what was the subject matter, if you remember?
So Karen was also, she mentioned being excited about Kaylee getting into Bishop Fian. When I first saw her, she first started talking about my daughter. So I saw her, she came in, she greeted me, and when we did start talking, she just started talking about my daughter and how much she really loved my daughter's relationship with John's niece.
Okay. And while you were having this conversation with Karen, was it an easy conversation back and forth?
Very easy.
Where were you located within the waterfall while you were having this conversation?
We were at a height. I don't remember where we were. We were talking. We were sitting down talking at a table.
And how close did you get to her when you were speaking with her?
In order to in order for someone to hear you, because of the band being so loud, we were probably a couple feet from each other.
And in what direction were you facing when you were speaking to her? And I'm talking in relation to Karen.
I don't remember if she was next to me at this point. She could have been next to me at this point.
All right. And your face would have been facing where?
At her.
Okay. That actually was the question. I'm sorry. This is kind of a stupid way to talk, but I have to ask the questions this way.
We were face to face.
There you go. All right. So in other words, Karen was also facing you when she was speaking to you?
Correct.
Did you notice what Karen was drinking?
So she was drinking a drink out of, it was a clear liquid out of a clear glass, and I assumed it to be alcohol of some sort, but I'm not sure.
And while you were talking with her, can you describe, was the conversation coherent?
Very coherent.
Was she making sense?
She was.
Was she engaged in the conversation?
She was.
And did you make any observations regarding her sobriety?
She seemed fine to me.
And you're a pharmacist, correct?
I am a pharmacist.
And you were that night?
I was that night.
How much interaction did you see that Karen had with John O'Keefe?
They had some interaction.
And was there one specific interaction that stands out in your mind, then and today? And I'm talking about a physical interaction.
When they hugged at one point.
Okay. And did John come over to Karen at one point and do something?
He did.
What did he do?
So John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead.
Okay, and that kiss on the forehead, why did that stand out to you?
So, honestly, I'd never seen something like that before, a boyfriend do to a girlfriend in public. Never saw that. So it just stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
Can we cue up Exhibit 22, Mr. Wilk? I'd like to go to approximately 11:36 and 41 seconds. And if we can, well, first of all, have you seen that video before me?
I have.
Do you recognize what Exhibit 22 depicts?
All right, we're hitting the pause button while they go to that video so we can bring in our guest for this hour to discuss. Joining us from Denver, Colorado, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf is with us. Jeffrey, we've got a new witness on the stand for the defense, and we know that she's likely going to get to the topic of Karen Read and John O'Keefe lovey-dovey there inside of the bar, and perhaps that Karen Read really wasn't drinking that much, that she wasn't under the influence. Do you think this is proper use of the defense case to spend time with a witness like this when we know Jennifer McCabe plus the surveillance videos have shown that there was no outright fight between the two at the bars?
Yeah, I think you want to establish that there wasn't a real motive for Karen Read to have killed him. And so you want to show that the relationship was not as bad as the state is presenting it to be. Because couples fight, right? Because there's a lot of evidence that has been presented to show that they were fighting and they were arguing and that Karen was mad at him at different points during the relationship and in the hours and days leading up to what happened here. And so what you want to show is that there were other times where they were getting along just fine. And so to show that right before this incident that they were in a very good spot and that they were getting along and that there was affection between the two of them, I think is more than appropriate because it allows the jury to see that this relationship wasn't all dark, that there was affection, and that the two of them did also get along.
The Commonwealth called Karina Kolokithas the first time around. They did not call her this time around. You have the defense bringing her in. Do you think that this may also mean that Higgins, Alberts, they could be brought in by the defense, even though the Commonwealth has gone out of its way to not allow this jury to get the full picture of that evening and the people at 34 Fairview? Or is it going to be too risky for them, the defense, to bring in especially Higgins and the Alberts?
Yeah, I think retrials are so interesting Ted, because what you have is everybody has now had a chance to see how witnesses present and how witnesses do on the stand and what information they bring forward. And then each side gets to decide, do they want to take the second bite at that witness's apple or not? And so now we're seeing the strategy from the state having already played out of that witness wasn't helpful or that witness was a waste of time. And so we're going to move past them. And now we're going to see what the defense is going to do. Are they going to decide we're going to bring that person back in? Or like you said, is there too much risk in putting that person on the stand without the benefit of the control of cross-examination and now having to use direct, where we have less control of this person and allowing them to speak in more open-ended answers? And so I think there may be some risk in some of those other witnesses, whereas this friendly witness, let's put her on.
That's a good point. And it does feel like, though, that they are beginning to retell the story of that night with the defense perspective at the front this time around.
Starting with Karen and John got along, at least that
The
night.
Waterfall Bar. We're going to get to our break. We'll get you back in for more of that testimony with that surveillance video. Plus, our Matt Johnson is there on the ground. He's been speaking to people outside of this courthouse. We'll have a live report from him next.
Karen Reed is in the midst of the retrial of the century.
She is factually innocent. She's guilty.
There's something wrong in this county.
Come at me.
The Karen Reed murder retrial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, is the defense creating enough reasonable doubt in the case against Karen Reed? Our experts break down the biggest moments from today's testimony.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
You and I are going for a long ride.
Might be dangerous. You talk me into it.
All right. Start talking.
Ready. I'll leave that up to Nate.
I didn't hear anybody knock.
This mask stands for justice. How about the next clap of thunder?
That answer your question?
Are you still alive? You didn't exactly turn your back. I'll be back.
Mondays.
First you moved in, you banned cigar smoke and kitchen nudity.
Oscar Madison.
Just doing my daily yoga.
Felix Unger.
You're not exactly a guy's guy.
Why? Because I use coasters? I'm an accomplished photographer. Perfect, let's start shooting. And I can make a pair of tap shoes talk. What do you say, boys?
Together, they're the odd couple.
Here, hold that.
Oscar, is that coffee? I just cleaned the rug.
Better not move.
The Odd Couple. Mondays starting 7/6 Central on Laugh More.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're going to want to see this.
It's on.
Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery. It's on.
Covering the White House, you are in the center of where everything is happening in our government. There are really important issues happening in our country right now. People have questions about where the economy is headed, immigration policies, how the U.S. is handling global conflicts. My job is to bring meaningful answers and ask critical questions that impact everyday lives for our viewers. Haley Bull, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
Let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
Jesse Palmer. Emmett Smith. Both of us together? This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at TableauTV.com.
The MVP of TV.
Join the case that puts you in the middle of the mystery.
The answer's in front of us.
And keeps you guessing till the very end.
It's anyone's guess who's next.
Every twist, every turn.
Everything we need to find this guy is right here.
Ion Mystery. Join the investigation.
What do we really know about Diddy parties?
Get a new look at the evidence and the latest from inside the courtroom. Vinnie Politan Investigates, a Diddy special report. Tonight, 9/8 Central on Court TV.
A social media star loses his wife and then loses control.
I couldn't believe that she could do that to me.
From content creator to cold-blooded killer, the TikTok star murder trial. Weekdays 2 to 8, streaming on Court TV. Legendary Trials.
Give me something new. I want the real you. That is the best idea I've ever heard.
Yes, of course we can get you more.
Rex, go!
Angus MacGyver.
You know that was fun.
Just give me more.
Welcome back. We're covering several trials at several courtrooms, as always, here at Court TV. Of course, our main trials in Massachusetts, the murder retrial for Karen Read. We'll get back into court in just a moment.
And in New York, we're monitoring testimony in the federal court in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial, where the jury today is hearing from a friend of Cassie Ventura's. This is Brianna Bongalan. She says that Combs threatened her and dangled her over the side of a balcony during a 2016 beach photo shoot.
In Arizona, Lori Daybell is in court right now for her conspiracy to commit murder trial. The court is expected to finish jury selection today, and then time for opening statements. We're on a 30-minute delay, so we'll have updates throughout the day here of Lori in court.
And in Wisconsin, testimony underway in the deadly first date murder trial for Maxwell Anderson. He's accused of murdering and then dismembering his date, 19-year-old Sade Robinson. We'll keep you updated on that one as it proceeds. But before we head back into the courtroom in Massachusetts, let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who's here standing outside of the Karen Read murder retrial. Tell us about the testimony and what stood out today to you, Matt.
Half day of testimony, but an important day for this defense with a key witness on the stand. We saw Brian Loughran on the stand. He was the plow driver, and he worked the night in question plowing in front of the crime scene at 34 Fairview. He said that he didn't see anyone on the lawn. On cross-examination, he was questioned if he was pressured at all to testify any certain way. Let's listen.
How much of the front lawn of 34 Fairview could you see?
I could see all the way to the front door.
When you are plowing, sir, where is your attention focused?
My attention's focused out the front window, to the right and to the left.
Why?
I am looking for pedestrians. I'm looking for residents that may be backing out, not aware that I'm there, and God forbid, animals.
Did you see a 6'1", 216-pound man lying on that lawn?
No.
You're saying as you sit here today, you have no awareness in the history of this case that you were being threatened by an online blogger?
I was not threatened by an online blogger.
Was the person communicating and making clear to you that if you didn't testify in a certain way, there would be some consequence to you?
Do you know if he is friendly or supports one side over the other?
I know he is friendly towards one side, yes.
Okay. The side sitting in the back of the room?
I would say to the fence team.
Now, this is a plow driver that had worked several years. He knew the Albert family very well, so he knew which house they lived at. He said that he noticed nothing in front of the lawn. Now, his timeline is very important for this defense case because at 3 a.m., he did not see anything in front of the yard at his first pass. And then at around 3:30, he notices a Ford Edge. Again, nothing on the lawn or near the flagpole, but the Ford Edge is important for the defense case because the Albert family has at least one vehicle that's a Ford Edge in their ownership. And then at around 6:15 in the morning, he notices a lot of police vehicles and he cannot enter that street. So his timeline is really important for the defense theory that they're trying to put forth, that Officer John O'Keefe was attacked inside 34 Fairview and then placed out on the front lawn.
So half day today, they're done for the day. We still have some testimony that we're going to be finishing up. But what should we be looking for next as the defense case rolls on?
Yeah, one of the final witnesses was a character witness, her by the name of Karina Kolokithas. She knew John O'Keefe for several years, and she knew Karen Reed for about a year. She admitted in court that she really liked the couple. She stayed later at the waterfall in the night in question because she saw Karen walk through the door. She, I'm paraphrasing, but said that they were, quote, lovey-dovey, very affectionate. She saw John O'Keefe kiss Karen on the forehead. And at one point in time, she had testified that Karen Reed admired John O'Keefe for raising his niece and nephew after his sister's death. So she was a big character witness today on the stand. What we're looking forward to for more of the defense case in chief, as they may have up to a week of testimony still for their case, maybe the ARCA experts to testify later this week. We know that today court has wrapped for the day. Tomorrow is now dark because they're ahead of schedule, but we still have to get into some of these expert witnesses. As for this defendant, that's still a big question, whether or not she's going to testify. Here's what she told me outside the courthouse.
Karen, are you definitely not testifying? Because we saw your suggested jury questions, or the jury instructions. It said, as you know, the defendant did not testify.
I don't even know. Oh, they're boilerplate. Okay. Those are boilerplate jury instructions.
There's no, Karen, there's...
I'm ambivalent, and by ambivalent, I could get on board with either one. I'd feel strongly either way.
How do you feel about the defense case so far?
I feel strong. Very, very good.
And she doubled down just moments ago on the courthouse steps here. Again, court has ended for the day. They've left in with their driver, and she said that she still hasn't made her mind up whether or not she's going to take the stand. Remember, it's only she that can make that decision. And she feels that this defense case in chief is going very well. She's very happy about it. I'll send it back to you guys.
I love hearing Matt. Her attorneys have to tell her things, and then she can say them because that gag order applies to them, but it does not apply to Karen Reed. Thank you so much for that live report. We're going to pick things up where we left off inside of the courtroom because we are a little bit behind. We've been hitting the pause button so that you don't miss a moment. Where we are at is Karina Kolokithas on the stand. They're about to show her video of the inside of that waterfall bar. Let's go in.
It shows the waterfall.
And is that consistent with what it looked like when you were there that night?
Correct.
You've previously identified that as being a fair and accurate video of that night?
I do.
If we could zoom in, well, first of all, again, let me try and lay a foundation. Where would you be, if you recall, at the waterfall within that video? To the right, to the left?
I'm in the right, in a black top, sitting on a chair.
Okay, could we zoom in on that area, Mr. Wolf? Okay, we've zoomed in. Do you see yourself?
I do.
And where are you seated?
So there's a white jacket on the back of a chair. That's me.
And do you see anybody else in that video that you now recognize?
I see Brian Higgins.
Okay. And when you say Brian Higgins, is that somebody that you had known prior to that night?
I did not know Brian.
He was one of the people you were introduced to?
Correct.
And you since have learned, put the face to the body, or I'm sorry, I should say the name to the body or the name to the face?
Correct.
All right. And where do you see Brian Higgins?
He has like an emblem on the back of like a sweatshirt.
All right, so his back is to the camera?
Correct.
And we have not located that pointer, have we? Thank you, sir. May I approach the computer?
Yes. Won't you?
Now, if you can, ma'am, would you please use that pointer to show where you are first?
That's me.
Okay. And Brian Higgins?
That's him.
All right. Do you recognize, at this point in the video, do you recognize anybody else?
Not right now.
Okay. If we could start to play it, Mr. Wolf. And stop for a second. I would ask you, as soon as you recognize somebody else, if you'd speak up and tell us to stop, and we'll pause.
Okay. So right there, is Karen's head.
Okay, is that the back of Karen's head or?
Correct. So that's the back of her head.
All right, and then by the way, just so the record's clear, over Mr. Higgins' shoulder, there appears to be a face looking forward on the right shoulder. You see that, right?
Correct.
You're not referring to that. You're referring to the long hair that's in back of that face.
Yes. Could I point to it again? Okay. So I'm referring to that head right there.
Understood. Okay, and then, I think you had said something else?
And then that right there is John O'Keefe with the hat.
Okay, there's a ball cap.
Correct.
And on the video, as we're looking at it, it's to the right, up the top. It's to the right of the PM chyron there.
Right to the right
of the screen.
Correct, sorry.
If we could continue to play. Stop. What do you see?
So I see John giving Karen a kiss on the forehead.
Is that what you saw that night?
I did. I was looking right at them when it happened.
You were facing them?
I was facing them.
And what about Mr. Higgins? Where was he facing?
It appears that he's facing them as well.
That happened right in front of him?
That's what it looks like.
If we could play further. Okay, you can stop and we can take that down.
All right, let's slip in a commercial break. We'll get you back into the courtroom to pick up the rest of the Karen Reed murder retrial morning session. It's the only session because there's a half day today there in Dedham. So with the rest of the testimony when we return.
You and I are going for a long ride.
Might be dangerous. You talk me into it.
All right. Start talking.
Ready. I'll leave that up to Nate.
I didn't hear anybody knock. This mask stands for justice.
How about the next clap of thunder?
That answer your question?
Are you still alive? You didn't exactly turn your back.
I'll be back.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, only on Court TV.
True connection begins when your voice is heard. At ABC 15 Arizona, we listen when it matters most. We find answers when others turn away. We push forward when others give up. We investigate when the powerful hide facts. Because standing for what's right means standing with you through every challenge and every victory. That's our promise. We are ABC 15 Arizona.
Join the case that puts you in the middle of the mystery.
The answer's in front of us.
And keeps you guessing till the very end.
It's anyone's guess who's next.
Every twist, every turn.
Everything we need to find this guy is right here.
Eye on Mystery. Join the investigation.
There are moments when it gets scary.
You hear shooting down there?
And the important thing to do is not panic. Be dynamic.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
I love that Scripps News gives me the opportunity to go where the stories are. You meet the most amazing people, everyday individuals whose stories take bravery to tell. These are stories the world should know about.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from around the world, stream Scripps News.
Give me something new. I want the real you. That is the best idea I've ever heard.
Yes, of course we can get you more.
Rex, go!
Angus MacGyver.
You know that was fun.
Just give me more.
You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now.
That's gotta hurt, huh?
You keep me coming back for more.
A social media star loses his wife and then loses control.
I couldn't believe that she could do that to me.
From content creator to cold-blooded killer, the TikTok star murder trial. Weekdays 2 to 8, streaming on Court TV. Legendary Trials.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes! Make a plan today.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're gonna want to see this.
It's on. Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery. It's on.
Welcome back to Court TV Live, along with Julia, Jenae. I'm Ted Rowlands, back to Dedham, Massachusetts now for day 27 of the murder retrial for Karen Read.
This is the trial where she has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder and death in the connection to the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, who was a Boston police officer. The prosecution here says that she hit him with her SUV during a snowstorm following a night of drinking in 2022. Prosecutors could not convince a jury last year that she was guilty. It ended with a hung jury, and here we are.
Right now we're listening to an acquaintance of Karen Read and John O'Keefe. She's part of that friend group with Jen McCabe, Karina, Kolokithas. She is basically telling a story. They were out that night, the night that John O'Keefe ended up dead, and everybody seemed to be getting along, and Karen didn't seem that drunk. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Now, that night, did you have any information about the nature of Karen Read's previous interactions with Brian Higgins?
None whatsoever.
Okay. How long did you stay at the waterfall, or if you recall about what time you got ready to leave?
I believe things wrapped up around midnight.
And with whom were you leaving around midnight?
So my husband and Matt McCabe stayed behind. They were helping the band clean up and stuff. So it was myself, Jennifer McCabe, and Karen Read that walked out together.
Okay. And you've previously seen video footage of the end of the night with yourself, Karen, and Jennifer McCabe sort of in a grouping?
Correct.
Excuse me, I'm sorry that I just need to clear my throat. I hope that's the last time.
That's okay.
Did you see on that same video at the same time, there's a grouping in another area of the bar at the same time?
Correct.
And do you recall who was in that grouping?
I believe it was Chris Albert, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins.
Okay. Could we now publish again Exhibit 22? And I'd like from the approximate start time of 11:57 and 42 seconds. And if we could hit play, Mr. Wolf. Oh, I'll tell you what, stop it for a sec, thank you. Could you zoom in, please, on the right portion of that video, the upper right? We'll start with that. Okay. So this is the start of this clip. It looks to be 11:57 and 38. Do you see anybody in that clip that you recognize?
Yes, so I am the person with the jacket with the fur around the hood, and Karen Read is the other woman that I'm talking to.
Right. We could play that, Mr. Wolf? And right now, do you recognize anybody else in the background of that?
So to the right in the plaid shirt is my husband, Nicholas.
Okay. What about over your left shoulder?
So over my left shoulder is John O'Keefe.
And does that appear to be his back?
Correct.
Okay. Can we play? And he was in, stop for a second. He was in your line of vision at that point, correct?
Correct.
What does he appear to be doing?
He appears to be like paying a tab or something like that, or maybe getting a drink. I'm not sure.
Okay, and do you see him looking in a particular direction right now?
He looks to be looking over his left.
Continue to play. Oh, if we could pause for a second. I neglected to ask you to point out with the pointer. We have
I'm
it now.
sorry.
We might as well use it.
Okay.
If you could point to yourself first.
Okay. So that's me.
All right, Karen.
That's Karen.
And John O'Keefe.
That's John.
Okay, continue to play, Mr. Wolf. Stop. Back up just a sec. I'll tell you when to start. Yeah, play. Stop. Okay. Do you see what direction John O'Keefe is facing now?
He's looking to the left.
Okay, keep going. Keep going. Stop. What direction is he facing now?
To the left.
And what is over to the left?
I believe that's where the other group of men are located, perhaps.
Okay. Keep playing. And I'd like to run this to 11:58:25. Stop. At this point, his whole body is turned to the left, correct?
Correct.
And he appears to be facing where the other group of men were?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
He appears to be facing in the direction of where the other group of men were?
Correct.
Continue to play, all through until 11:58:25. Okay, that's perfect. Now, keeping the video up, I'd like to now scroll over to the left side of the screen, and we're going to start that at 11:57:42, the same approximate time we started the previous discussion. Stop. Okay. You've previously described the other three men. Are you able to identify them on this video now in this still frame clip?
I believe I am able.
And who do you see?
I see Chris Albert, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert.
And which one is which?
Chris Albert is the one that grabbed Brian Higgins' arm, and Brian Albert is with his back towards us.
Okay, now I'll ask you to use the pointer and point to Chris Albert, please.
That's Chris Albert.
On the right.
Yep.
Where's Brian Higgins?
That's Brian Higgins.
In the middle?
Yeah, in the middle. And that's Brian Albert,
okay.
I believe.
And with regard to Brian Higgins, which direction is he facing?
He's facing the left.
He's facing to the left?
I mean, I'm sorry, he's facing to the right.
Okay. And the direction that he's facing in, who's over there?
Sustained.
What is over there? Is that the direction of the bar?
Objection. Sustained.
Okay. Continue to play, please. Stop. Did you see he grabbed his arm a second time?
Correct.
And Brian Higgins is facing in which direction this time?
He's facing the bar area.
Continue to play, please.
All right, let's bring back in criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. Jeffrey, is this surveillance video moving the needle for you at all for the defense?
Well, what it's doing is it's laying out the story of the night for the jury in a way that the prosecution didn't do, right? The prosecution avoided a lot of setting up the scene, setting up the players for the jury. And this witness, who is incredibly friendly to the defense, is doing just that. They're trying to show the separation between the two groups. They're trying to show that John O'Keefe is with Karen Reed. They're getting along, and then this other group has the conflict. This other group is separated from them, and they're just trying to lay out for the jury exactly what is going on in this bar just before all of this incident, that whatever happened at that house just before it happened, look at what's going on at this bar and how these two groups of people are behaving and how well John O'Keefe and Karen Reed are getting along just before everything happens.
A lot of Brian Higgins, Brian Albert talk. If I'm a juror, I want to see him. And you go back to the opening statements, they said these guys got rid of their phones when the day before they were supposed to turn them in. Albert slept through the chaos in the front yard. If they want to go back at it in closing, they're going to have to either bring them in or get those facts into evidence. And the easiest way, obviously, is to roll the dice and bring both of those guys in the defense case.
Or show the lack of evidence. Remember, the jury is going to be told that they can consider the lack of evidence when they're back there deliberating reasonable doubt. And so when you talk about what the prosecution didn't present to them, who they didn't bring in, you can tell the jury, why didn't the prosecution put them on the stand if there's nothing to hide? Why didn't they bring them in their case to tell you what they did and why they didn't play a role in the murder of John O'Keefe? Why did they hide them from you? Why didn't they put them on the stand? The mere absence of those people is something that they can present to the jury as well if they are worried that putting them on the stand under direct will cause a problem for the defense case as well.
I think that's a great explanation for why they may not call, and it seems like they're not calling Michael Proctor, because to be able to say why didn't the prosecution bring him in, it's powerful.
But they were able to get Proctor's texts in. You know, they got more Proctor in than they have in terms of Higgins and Albert, and I think it's compelling that why did they get rid of their cell phones? Why? And the day before they were supposed to turn them in.
Certainly. We'll see how it comes out. Jeffrey, stand by. We have to get to a break. We're going to get you in for more of that testimony. But first, Lori Vallow Daybell showed up in court today. We weren't sure because she called in sick yesterday. Is she there, and what does she look like there inside of the courtroom? We'll be able to show it to you. That 30-minute delay is up.
Barely.
Daybell, doomsday cult mom, convicted killer,
and now defendant in yet another high-profile trial.
Will this be the final chapter in the saga
of the doomsday cult mom?
The Cult Mom Conspiracy Trial, today, only on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, is the defense creating enough reasonable doubt in the case against Karen Reed? Our experts break down the biggest moments from today's testimony.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
As an emergency room physician, I worked in level 1 trauma centers for years. I know what happens back there. One ambulance after another, with injured patients and lives that are changed forever. I understand. I took care of those people. Thank you. Now, as an attorney, my team and I care for the same people, but in a different way, working to get our clients' lives back to normal. If you've been injured, our medical and legal expertise provides a unique advantage. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
Celebrity trials are like no other. You not only have the drama of what's happening inside of the courtroom, there's the drama of who these people are. Paparazzi everywhere, people just hoping to get a glimpse. It's something that we haven't seen anything quite like.
A strong showing for the case against Robert Kelly.
There's this balance between the pizzazz of celebrity and the seriousness of a trial in a courtroom, and Court TV gets to bring you all of it.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're going to want to see this.
It's on.
Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery. It's on.
There are moments when it gets scary.
You hear shooting down there?
And the important thing to do is not panic. Be dynamic.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
I love that Scripps News gives me the opportunity to go where the stories are. You meet the most amazing people, everyday individuals whose stories take bravery to tell. These are stories the world should know about.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from around the world, stream Scripps News.
A social media star loses his wife and then loses control.
I couldn't believe that she could do that to me.
From content creator to cold-blooded killer, the TikTok star murder trial. Weekdays 2 to 8, streaming on Court TV. Legendary Trials.
Join the case that puts you in the middle of the mystery.
The answer's in front of us.
And keeps you guessing till the very end.
It's anyone's guess who's next.
Every twist, every turn.
Everything we need to find this guy is right here.
Eye on Mystery. Join the investigation.
His identity, a mystery.
Who is he?
His sword, lightning fast.
I challenge you!
His name,
Zorro!
Zorro. Tuesdays starting 5/4 Central on Grid Extra.
You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now. That's gotta hurt, huh?
You keep me coming back for more.
Start watching TV for free with Tableau.
Switching to Tableau has really been a money saver.
With Tableau, I can record something on my phone, I can pause it, I can go get a drink, I can come back, I can continue in the family room.
Order today at TableauTV.com.
Back to Court TV Live. They're done in Massachusetts Karen Reed case, and they're off again, I guess, tomorrow because it's going to be too hot out.
Going to be warmer than normal, the temperatures, but they will be back in session on Friday. So before we get you back into the courtroom, because we still have some footage that we have to show you from that coverage of today, but we are turning our attention to Arizona because big news there inside of the courtroom. We didn't know if she would show today because she told the judge she was too sick to go on. Told him he could come to the jail and see how sick she was. He declined, but here she is today.
She don't look good. She's got that hunched over. Oh, look. Yeah, we've all been sick, right? But they are moving forward. The judge basically saying, listen, you are not sick enough for us to postpone this any longer. They have to complete the jury selection process. It'll be interesting to see if he forces her then to deliver her opening statement, because now you're talking about, you know, maybe grounds for appeal. She's acting as her own attorney, and she's visibly sick, claiming she's sick, doesn't want to be there, is asking for some more time to recover, and she's got the hunched over look coming in.
And you know, because she's her own attorney, that's what has complicated this.
Yeah.
Because if she had attorneys, they could be in court, they could waive her appearance, they could still go forward with jury selection, but the judge told her, you are your own attorney, you're the only one who can come in and waive your appearance. So there she is inside of the courtroom.
We're going to see how this pans out. There's a 30-minute delay here, so we have this little bit of her just walking in. We have to wait a few more minutes before we get more of the proceedings, and then of course it does shift into jury selection, which we can't show. Jeffrey Wolf, what's your take on it? It is because she's acting as her own attorney and she's claiming she's sick. She looks sick. She sounded sick the other day on Monday. What's your take on what the judge should do here? Is it a problem? He seems to he wants to move ahead because he's got this jury panel waiting.
I suspect he isn't totally certain that she's sick, but I once hacked my way through a trial and pointed out to a jury that my cup wasn't full of water, it was full of Theraflu throughout a trial. So trials go forward all the time when people are sick. I think that COVID kind of gave us a misunderstanding of what happens in the court system when people are ill, because we didn't want to spread COVID, so we canceled a lot of things when people got sick, and we didn't let people come to court when they were sick. But courthouses are a lot like other workplaces where people push forward when they are ill, because there is a lot of moving pieces when there is a trial set. You can't just reschedule something because somebody is ill unless they are so ill that they cannot proceed. She appears able to proceed if she is able to talk, if she is able to sustain a full day, she is able to move forward. I know that I was extremely ill through the trial that I did, but I was able to get through it. I was able to form coherent thought, and so I was able to move forward as a adequate representative for my client.
Did you win?
Through that trial, the judge knew it. I didn't win, but the facts were quite against me, but the case had to go forward for a variety of reasons that I can't get into, but it is what it is.
Gotcha.
But cases move forward when people are sick.
Do you think that it's an issue on appeal that she could use if she put herself in this situation, but the judge saying there's not any medical information? I'm guessing the medics there at the jail didn't give her a get out of jail card or stay in jail card is what this would be if she was able to show some kind of real diagnosis.
My assumption is that the judge has done the right thing and has had her evaluated by the medical staff at the jail to determine whether she is medically fit to proceed forward, and that is why he is pushing forward with this trial. If he's done nothing and has just moved forward, then yes, she may have grounds to say that she is not able to be adequate counsel for herself. But I would be shocked if that was what the judge was doing, although his lack of patience for her has been very clear. But I would be surprised if he does not have a clean bill of at least adequate health for her to move forward.
I know he did write an order for her to be evaluated within the next 24 hours, and that was on Monday after she made that appearance. So that's been documented. To Jeffrey's point, so he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, his patience is wearing thin, but you can see that overall this is a very patient judge with a very unusual witness in terms of Lori Vallow Daybell. Jeffrey Wolf, thank you for your analysis. We are going to get to a break. When we come back, the rest of that testimony in the Massachusetts courtroom for Karen Read, the murder retrial. We've got a former friend of Karen Read's on the stand showing video. Stay with us. You're watching Court TV.